Greetings, my excellent friends, and welcome to askmark number 30. What did we say was pearls? I have no pearls, so sorry, guys.
Me neither.
No. So yeah, they're getting scrubbed at the moment.
Only pearls of wisdom.
I definitely don't have that. Anyway, how are you, young Mark? Happy Friday, everyone. If you're listening to this on the podcast, good morning. If you're watching this on YouTube, good afternoon. Welcome to the weekend, baby. By the way, guys, during this filming, I'm in a sweat box. So this t-shirt's blue. It's probably going to go like a dark navy.
I was listening to the news this morning and they're saying how they're having to change the building regulations for building new houses and extensions based on like higher temperatures because of global warming. They're just sort of saying, well, these current guidelines, houses are just going to turn into sweat boxes. Yeah. And then there was John Oliver on the weekend talking about prisons in Texas that are basically just ovens.
Welcome to
World's getting hotter.
Yes, welcome to askmark. Your climate update. Technically, that is weather. It's all weather based. The beginning of the show does always start with weather. So
we're British. We talk about the weather.
We do. We complain when it's hot. I don't complain when it's cold. I love it when it's cold.
Yeah, cold is better.
Definitely. You can always put more layers on. You can't shed your skin. Exactly. I mean, you can take your clothes off, but people frown about that. I did that once in the park, and I'm on a certain level. Now.
People start pointing and laughing.
It's cold, Sean. It's 30 degrees. Shut up, man. It's freezing. Anyway, guys, shall we answer some questions? Yeah. Oh no, you buzzed. Oh no, you're still there.
You're back now. Yeah.
Technical difficulties, guys. We're not going to cut. Shall we crack
Continue.
on? Let's crack on with some questions. So the first one is from, he's new to the channel. He's a first-time commenter, first-time listener, watcher, RV Billy. So hello, welcome to the channel, Billy. It's good to see new people are coming to the channel and posing questions. Now it says, boys, I've got 79 dives. You should have messaged us when it was 69. That would have been funnier. Since my certification in August 2020. Congratulations, RV Billy. Today's my 80th. I'm guessing when he wrote this. Okay, so recommendations for my 100th dive. Do I go naked during the day? Yes. Hopefully whilst diving, not just generally. This is my 100th dive. I'm going to be naked all day. That'd be a bit tradition. Weird. Yeah. Or do I go for a night dive? It's freshwater and I don't have to worry about anything stinging me. And it's southern Arizona, so 110 Fahrenheit surface temperatures and 75 to 80 degree water. What should I do on the dive? Should I record it? No, unless you're going to go
only from certain angles.
Yeah, or a certain hub. Should we say you have to upload it to a certain hub? And Mark, did you do your 100th dive nude? He did. I've got the video. If you just message me if you want a copy. I hear it's a rite of passage. So 100th dive, Mark. Did you do it naked? And what should RV Billy do?
I did it here in the UK, so no, it was not. It is a rite of passage, and it's one of those sort of odd traditions that's just kept going for some reason. But it's not so much a thing over here because you'd come back with missing body parts. But you can if you want. Plenty of people do it. It's just you have to pick the right moment. You have to make sure that there's not like families around or anything.
Just imagine if you did that and it'd be like, today we've got some kids coming from a primary school. It's they're just the legal age of diving, and they see some naked person. I was going to say something else, but they see a naked person.
They're going to do their Discover Scuba, and they're also like learning, and then someone just either jumps in or jumps out of the water.
Yep. Fun times.
Yeah, just find somewhere quiet and secluded. With an open-minded liberal buddy. And only record it from certain angles.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't. It's not so much a thing sort of where I learnt to dive because it's cold.
Well, what you could have done, technically, you could have gone naked under your dry suit. And technically, we're all naked under our clothes, so every dive's a naked dive. I'm naked right now under my clothes. Just imagine that,
get us
guys. That's a pretty
demonetised.
sight. Yep.
Technically, there's nudity in this video. It's just underclothes.
Oh no, YouTube, if you're the algorithm, we're only joking, all right? Don't demonetise this video. It's going to make £2, so we need that £2.
It's like the TSA. YouTube doesn't have a sense of humour.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Yeah, so 100 guys and girls. To be fair, the best people to talk to about 100th dive is the subscribers. So comment below what you did on your 100th dive. Does that make?
Yeah,
if you went
fair.
naked, let people know, and then they can judge based on your YouTube picture, I guess, whether they want to. I don't know.
Search for it.
Yeah. Don't know what the weird people on the internet get up to. Yeah, let us know what you did on your 100th dive. Were you boring like Mark and did literally nothing, or did you get naked, or did you do something fun like, I don't know, dive a certain? Did you not dive? Did you not want to dive a certain wreck or something, or
I
you just
honestly
couldn't?
don't know which, because that was kind of at the point where I was a little bit hazy with logging my dives, so I don't actually know specifically which was my 100th dive.
So you probably haven't done 100 dives. I reckon you've only done about 10, Mark. It's a bit hazy.
It's quite easy. Yeah. Getting past the logbook sort of challenge during your instructor. You should just write whatever you want.
Oh, sweet, nice one. Anyway, guys, so let us know what you did for your 100th dive in the comments below. Let's swiftly move on to question number 2. So this is from Uncivilized. All right, mate, calm down.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. How would you recommend setting up a side mount? I think the hose is going to my low pressure inflator is too short. Help him out.
Okay.
How would you recommend it?
So with twins, it depends on your first stage setup. What I imagine is that you have a 4-port first stage, which means that your low pressure port is angled kind of in the wrong direction for donating into your sort of low pressure inflator. So the answer is either change your first stage design to a 5-port swivel turret so that you get sort of a more streamlined routing, or just a longer low pressure inflator hose. That's the simplest answer. So I normally have my SPG facing down the tank. I started off, I was originally trained with the sort of the lollipop, where it sticks straight forwards, and that's quite nice because you can literally just kind of look down and glance down and see both of your tank pressures without having to fiddle around or anything. But I think the common consensus nowadays is to have it a bit more streamlined, so now it goes down the tank, and now I can just sort of glance at it. And then you have your breathing, your second stage, routed again down the length of the tank and then sort of back up again. And then with my low pressure inflator hose, that comes out the 5th port. So that way it's kind of pointing directly in, and that just routes to your inflator. But if it's too short, then just get a longer hose. It really is as simple as that. Unless you're doing something drastically different and your first stage is over your shoulder or something weird.
No, it's on the front of him. He's backwards and upside down. He wears his
chest mounted.
Chest mounted, he's upside down.
Inverted.
Yeah, inverted on the chest. That's the only way. That's the way forwards. People think it's rebreathe. It's not. It's inverted chest mounts.
You're behind the times, mate.
Yeah.
You're behind the times if you're not inverted chest mounting.
Yeah, mate. Come on, guys. Get with it. Get with it.
It's how the kids are doing it.
Oh, dear. Don't do that, guys. I'm sure that's not a very good thing to do. Very
I was watching a
YouTube.
Okay. I was watching a YouTube channel. No, I was watching a YouTube channel yesterday, and it's normally quite like sophisticated sort of educational information, and they use the word yeet, and you're like, oh.
Time to unsubscribe. Also, YouTube, if you're listening, algorithm, Mark just said that as a joke reference. Do not demonetize us, or don't think we're not, we're not young and hipsters, because of that word. Oh dear. Swiftly moving on. So question number 3 is from Emma. Do you, or even Sean, know much about underwater photography? Yes, if you take a Kodak film camera underwater, it does not work.
It gets wet.
Yeah, it gets wet. Would love to see some underwater photography and gear tips on this channel. Okay.
Yeah. It's never really been something that I've been into because I like to experience the dive instead of just the viewfinder of a camera. So I very rarely took cameras under the water, and whenever I did, I used to take video cameras more than anything, just because you take a picture of a fish, and by the time that you press the button,
That's
and then
why
the camera and the shutter actually goes, the fish has turned around or something. So I used to just go with video, and I was never much into sort of video until lockdown, basically, where I had to learn how to use video cameras. So yeah, maybe going forwards, I'll end up sort of with a housing and whatnot, but it is very expensive. So I don't know, maybe in the future, is an avenue that we're thinking about going down.
Isn't one of our buyers, Leo? He's really into his photography, isn't he? Because we started
Apparently.
Well, yeah, because we started talking about all this camera gear getting in and potentially getting some camera gear for us to do some underwater filming. We spoke to Leo, and I think the conversation went on for about 3 hours, and we were both sat there going, I just asked if you could use this camera underwater.
I know. It's like when you mention bolt snaps or something, it just goes off.
Oh, of course, bolt snap.
All right, I'll talk about dry bags.
Yeah.
Your favourite. There you go.
Dry bag.
But yeah, maybe in the future. We live in like weird times. We're not entirely sure sort of what's going sort of ahead. But yeah, now that I'm getting sort of more into sort of cameras, then yeah, maybe I will start looking at sort of underwater housings, and then I can talk about lighting and all that. Most of it is just about color balancing. Which is why sort of paralenses, sort of automatic color correction is pretty clever. And then just bringing down artificial light. I got an email from a producer, I can't remember who it was, but they boasted it was like 100,000 lumens or something, and I figured that must just be a typo or something. But no, that's literally what, like BBC Blue Ocean or something. Yes, it's just this ridiculously powerful light that literally just raises the ocean temperature for a moment, just to get the amount of lights to get all those colours back. But yeah, maybe one day we'll look at it.
And blind some fish. If you are an underwater photographer, any tricks and tips? You know where to put them, guys, in the comments. Nowhere else read, please. Thank you. Question 4 is from Rick. He says, I've never used a dSMB. Come on, Rick. Even I actually haven't. When you're at depth, how do you know when your dSMB has reached the surface, assuming you can't see the surface? Help Rick out, mate. Help him out.
The line basically goes limp. So when you send up a dSMB, you attach it onto a reel or a spool. You inflate the dSMB. That will then pull. It's like holding onto a kite, basically, and the kite then shoots up. And then there'll always kind of be tension on that line, and it will always keep spinning. But then as soon as it kind of stops, it's on the surface, so you'll get a bit of slack on that line. You basically need to sort of wind it back up, and then just always keep a little bit of tension on that line, and that's what's keeping the dSMB kind of upright in the water. As long as there's a bit of tension on the line, then it's on the surface. But yeah, as basically as soon as the line just goes limp, it's on the surface. It's not pulling up anymore. So then you can just sort of pull in the slack.
Sweet, there we go. So that's the only time where going limp is good. Sweet.
Yeah.
Next question is from, I don't know how I feel about this chap's username, Slick Rick.
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 Different from previous Rick. This is Slick Rick.
Yeah, he's a bit slick, this guy's a bit, yeah.
He's like one of the 1950s kind of biker gang. He's like slick.
Okay, we'll go with that one. I was thinking of completely something else, but never mind. So, he says, or they say, Rick could be a lady, I guess, or they say, do you prefer an integrated neoprene rock boot, the lighter tech boot, or a neoprene sock on a dry suit? Pros and cons, buoyancy differences, installation, hassle putting them on, drying, fitting to fins, etc., etc., etc. Mark. So what are your thoughts about boots and socks and feet and dry boots and rock boots and all that stuff?
So my first dry suit was one of the like Wellington rubber boots, which is fine. It's very easy to get in and out of, but they are quite clunky. And if the legs are a little bit too long and air ends up sort of in your feet, then they can pop off. And they are a bit clunky. Tech boots, which is kind of neoprene ankle, and then it goes into more of a traditional, almost wetsuit style boot. They are good. They're kind of the best of both worlds. You get nice flexibility in the ankle for sort of fine fin control, and they're pretty light. You normally get a bit of Velcro, a strap around the ankle so that you can get your foot in really easily without struggling, and then you can sort of compress that ankle around to sort of stop air bubble sort of ingress. At the moment, my dry suit is a neoprene socked dry suit with an external boot. For me, I quite like it because you actually lace up. Whereas the other ones, you get a bit of Velcro, which is kind of fine, but it's not perfect. And if you wear through the sole of your tech boot, then you basically have to send your entire dry suit off to have new boots fitted, which is pretty expensive, and it takes a fair amount of time because they have to turn it inside out, and it's just a whole pain and rigmarole. Whereas if you have separate rock boots, if you wear through the sole of your rock boot, you take it off, you throw that in the trash or recycle it responsibly, and
in the ocean.
If you do eventually wear through the socks, then yes, you do have to sort of get those replaced. But touch wood, that's pretty rare. So yeah, personally, I quite like separate rock boots, but tech boots are perfectly fine. It's not often that you wear through them, unless you're teaching and you're spending a lot of time sort of walking across sort of gravel or something that wears through soles, then it's not so much of an issue. But I don't think there's much buoyancy difference. I think the best is probably a separate rock boot, because then it really stops air from getting into your boots, and that's what I quite like.
Excellent. Sweet. Guys and girls, what are your opinions? Let us know below. So question number 6 is from username number 6. I didn't actually do that on purpose, Mark, just to let you know.
A happy coincidence.
But that is a very happy coincidence. They say, how do you keep your buoyancy constant whilst breathing for 4 seconds, holding and then breathing out for 6? Wouldn't you go up and down in the water?
A little bit. There's always that delay. So when you inhale, then you start to float up, and then when you exhale, then you start to sink back down. It's kind of a constant balance. So it's not so much of an issue. If you hold your breath for a long amount of time and you are sort of relatively positively buoyant, then yes, you are going to start floating up. But no, a breathing cycle like that, you don't tend to adjust your buoyancy that much, especially on rebreathers. But even on open circuit, no, you can last a couple of seconds without going up. Yeah, there's always that delay that gives you a certain amount of time. But yeah, it's not so much of an issue.
Cool. I thought that was going to be a lot longer answer than what it actually was.
No. I mean, I was taught to breathe in when I was an instructor. I was taught to breathe in for 3 seconds and then breathe out for 3 seconds. I think general consensus is you can kind of draw that out a bit longer. I was also taught to hum on the out. Because that sort of tightens up your vocal cords and it really sort of starts to slow down. It's not just, you spend a long time just exhaling all the time, and it's a very gradual, slow thing. You can make your breath last a very, very long time before you actually run out of a complete lungful. You can just keep talking and talking as long as people are listening. You actually have quite a lot of lungful. So adjusting your buoyancy, it doesn't it doesn't really affect you that much. Sort of breathing out for long periods.
Cool.
But you get used to that sort of wave. But yeah, your position in the water doesn't change that much.
So how comes when you were teaching me then, you told me to hold my breath and not breathe out, and I also had to carry a bag of bricks to the bottom of the pool and not let go? What was that all
just
about?
Exhale. Exhale all the way down.
Oh, exhale all the way down with the bricks. That was it. Crazy.
The worst was when my DMs, we were playing about, and they yanked my regulator out of my mouth, but I kept the mouthpiece. I didn't realise that the actual second stage had come loose. So I still had the mouthpiece in, figured I still had my regulator in, so I took a nice, and you're like, no, that's just water. Don't inhale that.
No, that's not a good thing to inhale. Okay, guys. Sweet. If you've got any breathing tips, again, let us know in the comments below. So we actually have a bonus question. And shall I just leave it to you, Mark?
Oh, yeah. Let me bring it up, because this is an Ask Sean limited edition.
Limited edition. It's not really an Ask Sean, is it?
So this is from Suez, and they ask, hashtag askmark, but yeah, it should actually be Ask Sean, because he says, but really it's for Sean. Take a break, Mark. I will. Thank you. I was looking at and eventually ordered some cheaper 3mm dive socks. I wear full foot fins, so it's helpful. Yep. Tons of reviews about this particular one I got were from hikers. They were complaining that walking in just socks was tearing them up, or that they worked really well when planning to hike in areas with tons of streams to keep your feet warm. Two-part question. One, don't you people have your own gear for this scenario? Yeah, nice little dig at the hikers. And two, is trench rot or something similar not a concern? The dive socks just trap a layer of water there, and then you just kind of slosh about in it. What's the story here? Why are wetsuit socks for hiking? And then in block capitals, why are hikers taking our gear? That's your video title. You're welcome. Thank you. We'll use that.
We are actually going to use that, yeah.
Yeah, neoprene socks. They're great for free diving and sort of snorkeling, because they just add a bit of extra insulation to your foot. If your sort of full foot fins are a little bit too big, they can just kind of fill that gap and stop it from rubbing in any areas. But why would you wear them to go hiking, Sean?
You wouldn't. And the people that have been purchasing neoprene socks to go hiking, again, it's personal preference, but it's a very silly thing to do. So, to answer the first response, don't you people have your own gear for this scenario? Yes, they're called waterproof socks that are breathable, that you can wear under if you've got an older pair of socks, or you're just wearing a pair of trainers, but you want to, I don't know, the terrain that you're walking on is a little bit wet. You just pop them underneath, and they'll keep your foot dry, but also as well, they won't trap any water in order for you to get trench rot. I don't know whether it must have been like a social trend at some point, maybe in the hiking community, where people were buying these socks, or because potentially they were looking at neoprene socks at the price, and then you see the price of potential waterproof socks, and there might be a big difference, so they might, I'll just go and get these. No, please do not purchase neoprene socks to go hiking. They are not designed to do that. Whether it's warm terrain, even worse, cold terrain as well. We looked this up, didn't we, briefly before we pressed record, and there was a story about a guy who he decided to take his neoprene socks on a hike, which was fine until he stopped, and the sweat that he accumulated in said neoprene sock then froze. So then the remainder of his journey, he had cold, freezing, wet-ish, I guess, eventually, socks, all because he wore neoprene socks. So it's a really stupid thing. And if you...
I can I can kind of get their like initial logic in, well, it's neoprene, so it's kind of squidgy, so it's going to act as a bit of like protection, and also thermal protection as well, but they're not breathable. So any water that gets in is just going to keep your feet wet, which is kind of the opposite that you're taught.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Also, as well, in the hiking world, you have waterproof boots. You have waterproof shoes. You even have waterproof sandals that help repel sweat from the suede material. You know,
waterproof Crocs.
Yeah, ooh, lovely. No, we don't do Crocs here. This is getting too hipsterish. You said that yeet word earlier, and now we're talking about Crocs. Yeah, I honestly, it's single-handedly the worst, most stupidest thing. Oh, to be fair, it's probably not the most stupidest thing. I can understand from a curiosity point of view why people would do this, but yeah, it won't work. If you want to keep yourself warm, merino socks. Get something that will trap the heat, that's also lightweight, and that will maintain your temperature in your feet, basically. That you actually won't sweating and then, you know, get rot or blisters or just generally anything worse.
Yeah, that's what I'd worry about, because if you're hiking for days, then it's literally like what is it, the Vietnam War, because their feet were just wet for hours, and they're walking around, the skin's just getting soft and just like sloughing off. It's not come across my bubble of hiking, but I can understand, like Mark says, I can understand the curiosity of it, but it's the most dumbest, one of the most dumbest things in practicality.
It's
I mean, most neoprene socks, they're not dry socks. They're not going to keep the water out, because it will just go straight through the seam. So your feet are eventually going to get wet, and then once they are wet, they're going to stay wet. Which, if you're in the water, that's great because it's good insulation. But outside of the water, I don't think so.
Yeah. And again, like, I can understand if you're going on an adventure and, you know, you're mainly in the water, maybe you're kayaking for the day and stuff. But hey, if you're kayaking, you have a tendency of having like wetsuit shoes or something like that, like rock boots.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even need these neoprene socks, because you'll have designed wet gear to keep you warm in colder waters. It's absolutely bizarre. So yeah, I don't know what the story is. I would not advise it. If you want to keep your feet warm, get something with merino. I'm talking to hikers now. Scuba divers, you've got your neoprene socks. You can use them while scuba diving, but don't use them.
They're a tool for a job.
Yeah.
It's like it's literally like wearing a wetsuit to go hiking because you want to stay like dry or warm. No, it's not what they're made for. It's going to be like uncomfortable and sweaty because it's not going anywhere. No, everything is breathable nowadays for a reason.
Yeah. So just buy some waterproof socks if you're afraid that your feet are going to get wet while hiking, or just buy some good boots that has good waterproofing, or maybe treat your boots, reproof them, and then that will solve that problem. And if you want to stay warm, buy some like merino wool. You can even get merino wool liners to put under your socks that are literally millimeters thin, but they will keep you nice and warm. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, mate. It's just a weird. It just must have been. I reckon something happened on social somewhere, and it kind of boomed a little bit, and now people are buying neoprene socks for hike. That's the only explanation I've got. Other than that, people are, this is somehow going to be a thing in the hiking world. That we're going to get neoprene. I can't wait for a neoprene hiking boot. Lovely.
It was probably a neoprene sock manufacturer. Their sales were a little bit low, and they're like, how can we diversify?
Yeah.
Screw it. Who needs socks? Hikers. And they just sort of threw this like testimonial out, and it's just gone.
Yeah. And if you do hike and you wear your neoprene socks, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because obviously that's my thoughts. There are other people on the other side that go, no, they're really great for this. I would love to hear your thoughts. I will listen to them, but I would also try and find a way to say that, no, you're definitely wrong, which isn't the way that you should. That's what's wrong in the world.
Open-mindedness
is what I need to do. But yeah, on the offset, definitely not. Anyway, I'm getting a bit more angry now, Mark. So I think we should end the show. Definitely in the show.
So that's it. If you have any comments, questions, queries, corrections, let us know down in the comments below. If you do have any specific questions that you want Sean and myself to elaborate on, use the hashtag askmark, just hashtag ASKMIRK, all one word, just makes it a lot easier for us to find it. If you want my t-shirt that I'm wearing today, you can't have this specific one that I'm wearing, but you can have something very similar by heading over to our spring store. If you watch the Daily Scuba News, there's actually a discount code at the end of there to get some money off of that. This one is called Cave Shark, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you can head over to our spring store. There's going to be a banner down underneath this video if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this, then tough, you're just going to have to head over to YouTube and click on the banner. Yeah, don't forget to check out simplyscuba.com because we have all sorts of amazing scuba diving equipment to check them out. Thank you for watching, everybody, and listening, I suppose.
Yes.
And safe diving.
Yeah, stay classy, scuba divers.